Hello everyone, I'm Joseph Giunta, the music director and conductor of the Des Moines Symphony and Academy, and today I would like to tell you about the wonderful concerts coming up on November 9th and 10th in the Civic Center. The program will include Edvard Grieg's most famous piano concerto performed by world-renowned pianist John Parker and Dvorak's uplifting and spirited Symphony No. 8. These programs will open with American composer Michael Torke's Javelin. Now, I've known Michael for a long time, and he's actually no stranger to Des Moines because in the mid-1990s, I invited him here to conduct a commission work called December. It was premiered in April of 1995, and since then has been performed all over the world and recorded by the London Sinfonietta. Javelin was commissioned by the Atlantic Committee for the Olympics and premiered in 1994 by the Atlanta Symphony. This is a very uplifting and contagiously optimistic piece, bursting forth with energy, and it has, I think, as much appeal today as it did when I first conducted it over 25 years ago. The next piece is one of the most popular classical music pieces ever, the piano concerto by Norwegian composer Edvard Grieg. Now, there had been some young composers that began writing music that were inspired by their own countries. Grieg was born in Bergen and educated in Leipzig. After he graduated from Leipzig, he went to Copenhagen, which in those days was absolutely at the height of Scandinavian nationalism. And shortly after that, he moved back to Norway, writing little folk songs at the piano and a few vocal pieces and whatnot. But for whatever reason, his music caught on with the public quite easily, and his music was the most popular of the day in the Scandinavian countries. However, not everyone really respected Grieg because they felt maybe his music wasn't as serious as somebody like Debussy or Ravel. But Franz Liszt, the great virtuoso pianist and composer, heard some of his music, and he said to this young 25-year-old, just follow your heart, your instincts, do what you think you should do, and don't worry about what the critics say. And as a result of that, this fabulous piano concerto was born. Liszt, who was one of the great pianists of the day, championed this piece throughout his life and played it many, many times. The piece is very powerful and very lyric and extremely difficult for the pianist. The first movement starts with a magnificent timpani roll, and then a big chord comes in the orchestra, and the pianist has this little flourish, and it's followed by two beautiful themes. Towards the end of this movement, there's a magnificent, bold cadenza, brings the first movement to a stunning end. The second movement is, I think, the heart and soul of the piece, a beautiful adagio in D-flat major. And then finally, the finale has two themes, one in A minor and the other one in F major, which is basically just Norwegian folk dances. And these themes bring this piece to a brilliant finish. John Parker is our visiting artist for these concerts, and he will bring an amazing interpretation to this piece. He's played with virtually every major orchestra in the world, and he is currently a teaching artist at Rice University. And he's an artist that's equally qualified at not only playing a concerto or a recital in Carnegie Hall or any of the great halls of our world, but also jamming with Audra McDonald and Doc Severinsen and Bobby McFerrin. Sort of a 21st century artist, an entrepreneur, and someone that I know that we're all looking forward to working with. The final piece on this program is by Czech composer Antonín Dvorak. Dvorak's Symphony 8 was written in the seclusion of his country home. It's no wonder that this piece is just full of sunshine and optimism. The piece begins with a gorgeous theme played by the cellos and horns and bassoons and clarinets, and it immediately sets up a mood for what's to come. This leads to a nostalgic bird call on the flute, and before the piece is fully energized, it becomes rhythmically quite active. And from there, the pleasurable moments just happen one after another after another. It's almost like a walk in the forest along maybe a beautiful brook, meandering down this path. You're just engaged by all the surprises and maybe the beautiful fresh air that you smell. Our minds are wonderfully relaxed as we hear these distant bird calls, bird sounds. It ends in a very peaceful environment, and you feel very quiet, serene, and content. And when this piece was written and premiered in 1890, Dvorak was at the height of his career. He was so popular. He was maybe the most popular composer throughout the world. He was traveling all over the place, and people loved his music from beginning to end. He was as successful a composer as any living composer was at that time, and that included his teacher and mentor, Johannes Brahms. Join us this weekend, Saturday night at 7:30 and Sunday afternoon at 2:30 at the Civic Center of Greater Des Moines. It's going to be a terrific concert featuring the music of Grieg and Dvorak.